A man was distracted by glancing at a beautiful woman while driving. In the next moment, when Ethan woke up from his unconscious state, he found himself lying in a forest. His wallet and phone were gone, and his colleague was nowhere to be seen. He stumbled out of the forest, and suddenly arrived at a bizarre small town. Everyone in town acted like machines. Weak and disoriented, he walked into a restaurant, hoping to find out where he was.
You're in Wayward Pines, Idaho?
Right after the waiter answered him, Ethan collapsed to the floor. When he regained consciousness, he was lying in a hospital bed. A nurse informed him that he had multiple fractures and a mild concussion, needing several days of rest to recover. Ethan quickly asked if she had seen his colleague. Sadly, the nurse told him that his colleague had suffered severe injuries and passed away. Ethan was devastated. He and his colleague had come here to look for two agents who had recently disappeared, never expecting a terrible accident. He tried to call his wife to let her know he was alive, but the nurse said there were no phones in the hospital, claiming ringing noises would disturb patients. She told him to rest and left the room. Yet Ethan sensed something was deeply wrong. He got dressed and prepared to leave. As soon as he stepped out of the ward, he realized the huge hospital had no other patients but him. The eerie atmosphere filled him with unease. Just as Ethan pressed the elevator button to leave, the nurse suddenly appeared and stopped him. Ignoring her, he stepped into the elevator. She warned him not to leave, but he was determined to go.
Move your foot.
I'm worried about you.
After leaving the hospital, Ethan went into a bar. He asked a waitress named Amy if he could use her phone to call his wife. The call didn't connect, it only went to voicemail. He left a message explaining his situation. Ethan then asked Amy about the two missing agents, but she said she didn't recognize them. As Ethan prepared to leave, disappointed, Amy handed him a piece of paper with her address on it, telling him he could come to her if he needed help. But when Ethan was about to put it away, he noticed strange writing on the back. He didn't think much of it and left the bar. Not far away, he heard crickets chirping from the roadside grass. Curious, he reached down and found a small speaker playing the sound. He put it back, thinking it was just a local quirk. Later, he checked into a hotel, but at dawn, the front desk knocked, demanding rent. Having no money, he was kicked out. With nowhere else to go, he used the address Amy had given him. When he arrived, he found a long-abandoned house with no sign of life. Out of curiosity, he pushed the door open and went inside. What he saw left him horrified. On the bed lay the body of a man, badly decomposed. When he recognized the face, he was utterly shocked. It was Jack, one of the missing agents he'd been searching for. He rushed to the town's police station to report it, but the sheriff showed no surprise. As if such things were ordinary, Ethan was stunned. He asked to take part in the investigation, but the sheriff refused immediately. He had to use the police station's phone to call the Secret Service. The operator said their superior was in a meeting and couldn't come to the phone. Ethan asked her to pass on a message for a return call, but she said that wasn't her job. With no help coming, Ethan went back to the bar to confront Amy, but the owner said there was no one named Amy working there, asking if he'd had too much to drink. He claimed only he and a male employee worked there. Ethan was confused. He had clearly met Amy the night before. Thinking the owner was lying to him, he angrily grabbed the man by the collar, only to be knocked unconscious. When he woke up again, he was tightly restrained to a hospital bed. A doctor told him that the accident had caused brain trauma and bleeding, leading to hallucinations. He needed emergency surgery, but Ethan didn't believe a word. He was convinced his mind was fine, yet he had no choice. A nurse forcibly injected him with a sedative and wheeled him toward the operating room. Seeing the instruments on the table, Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. After the nurse left, he tried to escape but was too weak. At the critical moment, Amy suddenly appeared. With no time to waste, she wheeled Ethan into the elevator and freed him from his restraints. The two quickly fled the hospital. Amy took Ethan to an abandoned house. Ethan pressed her about Jack's death. She said the sheriff had killed him. She also told him the town was like a prison. She'd been trapped there ever since her own accident, for more than a year.
What? Do you think it's 2000? 2014.
Before she could finish, the sedative took full effect, and Ethan passed out. When he woke up, Amy was gone. She had only left behind a set of men's clothes. Ethan went out onto the street, determined to uncover the town's mysteries. As he passed a park, he unexpectedly saw a familiar face, Lisa, the other missing agent. But she looked much older, and appeared to have started a family. To find answers, he followed her home. After a moment, he knocked on the door. Lisa's husband answered. Ethan said he was a friend of Lisa's, but when Lisa appeared, she claimed she didn't know him. Seeing Ethan wouldn't believe her, Lisa told her husband to go inside, so she could speak privately. They sat on the steps with their backs to the door. Only then did Lisa quietly admit who she was. She denied knowing him. because the town was full of cameras, and everyone was being watched. Ethan was confused why she had aged so much. Lisa explained she had lived there for 12 years. Ethan was even more baffled. They had met only a month earlier. Lisa didn't explain further. She just told him to leave immediately, or both she and her husband would be in danger. Ethan asked who controlled the town. Lisa only smiled faintly, and wished him a pleasant life there, then went back inside. Ethan understood Lisa was afraid of the cameras, and dared not tell the truth. Knowing he was being monitored, he fled the strange town. He smashed the window of a car by the road, hot-wired it, and drove north as fast as he could. He thought he was escaping, but after several kilometers, he ended up back in town, refusing to give up. He turned around and tried again, only to return to the same spot. Before trying a third time, he realized something was wrong. He parked the car, and decided to cross the forest on foot. He walked from day until night, but when he reached the edge, he was completely shocked. The entire town was surrounded by tall, electrified walls. No wonder Amy called it a prison. With no way out, he returned to the car. Just then, the sheriff arrived. He intended to arrest Ethan for stealing a resident's car. Ethan quickly identified himself as a federal agent, but the sheriff didn't believe him. He had no identification. Instead of sending him to jail, the sheriff placed him under house arrest at a hotel. Determined to uncover the truth, Ethan went back to the abandoned house to investigate Jack's death. After searching carefully, he found a small notebook inside Jack's boot. As he was about to take it out, the sheriff appeared behind him with a gun. Ethan froze. The sheriff demanded why he wasn't at the hotel. Ethan said Jack was his colleague, and he couldn't ignore what had happened. He asked about the case, but the sheriff said everything was under control, and forced him to leave. Ethan went to the bar again. Surprisingly, Amy was there this time. He tried to ask about Jack, but Amy suddenly pulled him into a dance.
You have to talk really quick. There's mics under the bar stools.
She said she and Jack had planned to escape together, but someone leaked their plan. Jack was caught and killed by the sheriff, as a warning to others. She added that Jack had drawn an escape map in a notebook, but she had never found it. Ethan immediately thought of the notebook in Jack's boot. It might be the map. He was about to speak when people entered the bar, so they quickly pulled apart. Later, Ethan secretly returned to the hospital, found Jack's body, and retrieved the hidden notebook from his boot. He and Amy went to a cemetery outside town. Inside the notebook was indeed an escape map. They began planning their escape, but Amy said they first had to remove the tracking chips from their bodies. Ethan was confused. Amy told him to sit down, then used a small knife to make a small cut on his lower leg, and pulled out a tiny chip. Ethan finally understood. He had been tracked the entire time. To avoid suspicion, he put the chip back in his pocket. They calmly returned to town, only to run into Lisa and her husband. Lisa warmly invited them to dinner. Ethan agreed, seeing it as a perfect chance to escape. During the meal, Ethan secretly stuck the tracking chip under the table. He then excused himself to the bathroom, and checked for listening devices, preparing for their future escape. While eating, Amy casually mentioned the town's gate. Lisa froze immediately. Talking about the outside world was strictly forbidden. Anyone who did was suspected of trying to escape. Seeing the danger, Ethan quickly said Amy wasn't feeling well, and pulled her away.
You think they're gonna run?
Absolutely.
Outside, Amy remained panicked, as if she sensed something terrible was coming. She begged Ethan that if he ever escaped, he must take care of her daughter. Before Ethan could comfort her, a sharp, high-pitched sound filled the air. Amy was terrified. She said the same noise had played when Jack was killed.
Grab my hand, don't let go!
Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed Amy and ran, but townspeople seemed to be chasing them from all sides. Ethan decided to distract them, to give Amy a chance to run, but Amy was caught at a corner. She was taken to a raised platform. A crowd of townspeople gathered below. They were going to punish her severely. As the crowd cheered, the sheriff ended her life. Hiding in the dark, Ethan could only watch helplessly. He knew if he intervened, he would suffer the same fate. Determined to escape the dangerous town as soon as possible, Ethan snuck out at dawn. He saw a supply truck driving by, and immediately thought of a way out. While the driver was distributing food, Ethan quietly climbed into the back and hid. Luckily, the driver didn't notice. He thought the truck would take him out of town, but before long, it stopped. After the driver got out, Ethan carefully opened the door, and realized he was inside a secret experimental facility. He still hadn't escaped. Just then, he heard a car engine behind him, and hid in a corner. As he tried to figure out how to escape, a gate opened ahead. He quickly stood up, planning to slip out, but something felt wrong. One of the parked cars looked extremely familiar. After wiping dust off the license plate, he recognized it as his wife's car. The body was covered in deep scratches. A terrible feeling washed over him. To find the truth, he pried the door open and hid inside. He found his wife's wallet in the front, with a family photo inside. As he stared at the picture,
Where's my family?
using his training as an agent, Ethan easily overpowered him. But just as he was about to demand where his family was, the effects of another drug hit him. His vision went black, and he collapsed unconscious. When Ethan woke up, he was in an unfamiliar room. A phone suddenly rang. Confused, he answered. A mysterious voice on the line told him his wife and child were waiting for him at home, and gave him their address. Hanging up, Ethan was doubtful, but still went to the given location. When he opened the door, he truly saw his wife and child. The family hugged emotionally. Once calm, Ethan asked his wife how she had gotten there. She admitted the sheriff had directed her, but they had been in an accident on the way, and woken up in that house. Ethan immediately realized it was all part of the sheriff's plan. He told his family to stay inside, and not go anywhere. He then went straight to the police station to confront the sheriff, warning him to stay away from his family. The sheriff, used to being in control, refused to be threatened. He was about to attack Ethan, when the office phone rang.
Oh, of course.
After taking the call, the nurse warned the sheriff not to fight Ethan. Ethan then realized the sheriff wasn't the one in charge. Someone even more mysterious controlled everything. To uncover the town's secrets, Ethan found his former colleague Lisa. He wanted to know who was really behind it all, but Lisa advised him to give up. The tragic fates of Amy and Matt were warnings. People in town only survived by obeying the rules. Their private conversation was seen by Ethan's son, John. John thought his father was being unfaithful. He told his mother what he'd seen. Remembering Lisa and Ethan had once been in a relationship, she suspected they had rekindled their romance. She thought Ethan had disappeared to be with Lisa. Furious, she decided to leave town with John that night, before Ethan could explain. But they didn't get far. Before the sheriff caught up, they dropped their luggage and ran into the woods, only to be blocked by the tall electrified wall. The sheriff got out, hit John, pulled him into the car, then walked toward Ethan's wife. At that critical moment, Ethan arrived just in time. The two fought violently. The sheriff soon gained the upper hand, picked up a gun, and aimed it at Ethan. Ethan then grabbed the gun, and shot the sheriff without hesitation. He found a remote control on the sheriff's body. When he pressed it, a steel door opened. As the family prepared to leave, a terrifying figure suddenly rushed out, and took the sheriff's body away.
Something just took his body!
Do you hear that?
Ethan reacted quickly and closed the door. He drove his family back home, afraid the sheriff's death would endanger his family. Ethan snuck into the sheriff's office to find weapons for protection. As he was about to leave, the operator walked in with a cake, as if she'd known he was there. Before Ethan could understand, the mayor entered and shook his hand, officially appointing him the new sheriff of Black Pine Town. Ethan was confused. He knew his role in the sheriff's death was known, yet no one had arrested him. The mayor only said he was following orders, and knew nothing else. With no answers from anyone, Ethan decided to accept the position, so he could secretly investigate the town's secrets using his new authority. After the mayor left, Ethan searched the office. He found a hidden floor hatch, and opened a safe underneath. Inside were files, containing full personal information on everyone who had ever come to Black Pine. Ethan looked at the operator's file, trying to get information from her. But whenever he mentioned the past, she said she couldn't remember. Just then, a man was thrown inside. Leading the group was the hospital nurse. Her role was clearly more than just a nurse. She said the man had broken the town's rules by painting messages and spreading dangerous ideas. He had to be eliminated immediately. Now that Ethan was sheriff, he refused to kill an innocent man. He told the nurse to leave, and that he would handle it. Later, Ethan learned from the files that the man's name was George. Strangely, the files showed George hadn't always been disabled. George explained bitterly that he had tried to escape town by climbing the cliffs behind the forest, but had fallen and broken his leg. Now, he believed only death could truly free him from the town. Soon after, the nurse called Ethan and ordered him to execute George at 10 p.m. Someone powerful was forcing the new sheriff to obey. Ethan ignored her and hung up. That night, he planned to hide George in the forest to save him, but on the way, George led Ethan to the electrified wall. He told Ethan there was still one escape route over the cliffs, but with his broken leg, he would never escape. He begged Ethan to end his life, so Ethan could gain the town's trust and find a way to escape later. Ethan refused immediately, assuring him there was another way. But before he could finish, George rushed into the electrified wall and lost his life instantly. Watching George's body, Ethan was overwhelmed with grief. He finally returned to the police station, got his equipment, and headed for the cliffs George had mentioned. After finding the best path, he began climbing barehanded. Using his strong physical condition, he quickly reached the top, but he didn't notice A terrifying figure had been watching him from the shadows. This mysterious town hid shocking, deadly secrets. Between the inescapable walls and the unknown horrors, how many more mysteries would Ethan have to solve? Due to copyright restrictions, if you want to know more, you can search for Wayward Pines. That's all for today's story. I look forward to seeing you next time.